Hello, it is I, Ramses the 800th, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different type of video. This is something I've been thinking about doing for a while because I really like this type of thing, and I wanted to share it with you guys since I don't want to leave my ideas in my head uh, until I die. So, Fate, FGO, right? Specifically, we have a lot of servants, a lot of different types of servants, but there seems to be a certain lacking in a group of servants, specifically relative to others, because we have a lot of French servants, mainly from the Knights of Charlemagne, but we have a lot of French servants, and we also have a lot of English servants. What we don't have a lot of is Spanish servants. So I was thinking, well, who could possibly be a Spanish servant that we could implement in FGO that kind of feels okay to put in? So I'm not going to be talking about more Aztec servants or like Mayan because yes, they are technically Spanish servants, but they're Aztec, they're Mayan, they're Mesoamerican servants. I'm talking more like Spain Spanish, right? And there's a lot of people from history that you can do. I know El Cid appeared in Fate, the one where Voyager's from, but he was kind of mentioned and hinted at, but he wasn't like directly named. People assume it's El Cid, and it probably was. Um, but I have I'm gonna do El Cid another time because I have like a lot I want to talk about with him. But we're gonna be talking about somebody different, somebody who I'm surprised isn't in Fate yet. From how this man basically already acts like a servant, and weirdly enough. Okay, so today I'm gonna be talking about Diego Garcia de Paredes. Paredes, right? So this is going to be kind of like a history overview and like kind of like a highlight reel of all the cool stuff that this guy did in his life, um, and also like kind of like a way to learn about more people in history because Lord knows we don't know enough about people in the past. So why do I think that this guy, Diego Garcia de Paredes, I'm gonna keep pronouncing that wrong. I'll just call him Garcia or Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia should be in Fate. This man is the definition of a battle hungry maniac. He I'm pretty sure. Let me quickly look through this because I'm sure that he was in I think over 300 like duels. Yeah, 300 single duels and came out on top with every single one of them. And that's just like other things that he did. I'm going to read you two of his main like titles, like the names that he has and the names that he earned during his like time in like the fighting and the wars. So the first one is El Samson de Extremidad, which is the Extremiden Samson, and his other one is El Hercules de España, aka the Spanish Hercules. Now we know what Hercules and Samson look like in Fate, so you can imagine what type of servant this guy would be. He's going to be a berserker. He has to be a berserker. There's no way he's anything else. Um, so let me go a little bit more. Who is this guy? This guy was a Spanish soldier around like the late 1400s, early 1500s. He was around during like Columbus when he did his great sail. So he, that's a cool interaction. But he was in a lot of wars. He was in a lot of fighting and he was in a lot of wars. Um, but the first like real odd thing that he did. Him and his brother Alvaro, they wanted to start as mercenaries, so they went over to I believe like Spain. They went to Spain, like mainland Spain, in order to become mercenaries. But one of Garcia's other siblings, like they're like half siblings, right? One of his other half siblings decided to like attack him because he Garcia needed a horse. And it was a whole street brawl, right? And his brother had three other guys with him on horses. They were three other horsemen, right? So it was Garcia's brother, and then three other guys jumping him by himself. And he killed all four of them. He killed all of them, and like that was it, right? So that's the first thing, which is ridiculous. The second thing is when he was a mercenary for a little bit, and he was promoted to the papal troop because the Pope was impressed with a street brawl that him and his brother were in a little while ago. Now I'm going to explain this to you. I'm going to look you in your eyes, and I'm going to say this very slowly. Garcia, his brother, and like five other guys, so like seven, were basically in a fight with an entire squad of Papal soldiers, right? And that's probably at least 20 because the end result of the fight was uh, 5 of the soldiers were dead, 10 were mauled, and the rest were, as it says right here, well beaten and knocked out. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, that's okay. That's cool. Um, everyone else in that group of like everyone else except for Diego had swords or like some other form of weapon. Diego did not. Diego had a, and I quote, heavy iron bar used in weight throwing game called tira a la barra. He was fighting people with a metal bar and like just beating ass. Like imagine you're a soldier in this time, right? And you're like, I don't know why they fought. It was probably like, oh, ruffians, let's go mess them up. And you're that one soldier who's like, you know what? I'm gonna get the guy who doesn't even have a sword. And the last thing you hear is ding as you just pass on. Imagine that. Like, who does that? Why is that? Why? Why? And he has to at least killed one of them, or at least done a lot of damage because it was him and his brother that were like promoted because of this, right? So that's like one of like the first. This man's insane that he things that he did, right? Later on, after as he's a soldier, he was actually kicked out because during a certain war, which one was it? Let me see. Yeah, Garcia was expelled from the Papal army, uh, in a war between the Borgians and the Duke of Urbion, Urbino, something like that. I don't know. I'll put the name right here. I'm getting most of my info from Wiki and like some other like slight sources, but like this is the name. I don't know how to pronounce it. But basically, Garcia was expelled because he fought and killed an Italian like commander or Italian captain who surrendered. Like he openly surrendered. He said, "You know what? No, I give up. I surrender." Um, Garcia pretended like he didn't hear him and then cut his head off. um, so and then like Garcia later said that yeah, I heard him, but I just didn't care, and then just killed him. So he was in prison for that because that's something worth being in prison for. But he decided that he didn't want to be in prison anymore, and broke out of his cell and stole a halberd, and then just killed like a bunch of guards to leave. So and then after that, he does something even crazier where after he escapes, right? He like talks to like a duke. He becomes loyal to him. I think the duke, and starts fighting. I think for the other side. I'm pretty sure. So he dresses up, and like him and a bunch of other like people dress up as like reinforcements for the Papal army. Go into the camp. They openly let him in, and then he just like takes over the camp. And then the real reinforcements come in, and he beats them up too. Like this man's doing like cartoony like antics. Like that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I don't know. But after that whole fight, he's in another conflict. He comes back to the Spanish side. He reunites with them and rejoins them, and like he returns back to them under the reign of the great captain Gonzalez Fernandez de Cordoba, the great yeah, that guy. He joins back with the Spanish. Later on, like the 1500s, he fought against the Ottomans, right? Oh no, he fought for the Ottomans during the sequence siege of the castle of George of Saint George. He was in that fight, right? And I heard like a few different interpretations of this. So this one that I read is really funny because I think it's the Turks. Yeah, it says the Turks were using a special crane to basically pick people up and capture them, or pick them up and drop them, and like killing them. Uh, Garcia was captured by one of these and just held onto the hook until he got over the wall, in which at what point he just started like fighting and holding off the garrison for 3 days by himself, only to like eventually like be tired and worn out from fighting for 3 days and hungry. So they got him. I read another version where it was less of like a war crane and more of like the siege ladders, and it's like Garcia was the first one up, but once he got up, like the ladder fell, and then he had to fight by himself, which is still ridiculous. He was like the first man on the wall, and he fought for 3 days straight, keep like holding off the garrison by himself, which is really funny. But after they caught him, he was like, "Hey, this is actually really smart. I can like recuperate, rest, and relax." So he did that. They had to give him food because that's like a thing with like things that prisoners of war. Like he ate, he recuperated, he healed as much as he could. And when he heard the Spanish attacking again, he broke out of his chains, broke out of his cell, stole a weapon, and started killing the enemy from the inside of the castle. And then just like killing as many people as he could, like many of the enemies, and eventually like found his way out and helped them take over the castle. And it is stated that he killed as many people uh, um he killed as many people as the rest of the army did to like all put together, which is ridiculous. This man was just like mowing through people, and it just gets worse. It gets so much worse after this, but like I'm going in chronological order. Uh, um, then his next conflict, it was during the Naples War, where he fought the French, alongside of some of the Spaniards. And I'm already giggling at this. So during like a really big like 5 hour battle, where there was like horsemen and knights and stuff like that, the Spaniards, or the Iberians as it says here, killed all the French's horses and one of their men. So it was like a, what is it? It says here it was 12, it was 11 Frenchmen against 11 Spaniards. They killed all their horses and killed one of their men, so it was 10 on 11. But the French kind of made like this wall of like horse flesh to like keep them safe. And the Spanish, they couldn't get through it, right? They were like, "Oh man, we can't like break through this meat wall." So they were like, "You know what? I guess it's our laws." Garcia said, "Nah, you're gonna have to take me out of this field in a body bag until I leave. That's the only way I'm leaving, right?" And he started taking like boundary stones. So if you don't know what a boundary stone is, it's like these like weird rock things that usually are used for what's it called, perimeter almost. Yeah, he started picking these up and throwing them at the French, like just heaving them and tossing them, one after the other, and it it caused so much confusion and I assume damage that the French just ran away, resulting in like this being like a proper draw instead of like a loss on the Spanish side. And it said in one of like a poem, right? It said that he broke like his sword and lances. That's why he started using the stones. And it says that a lot of people, like a group of people, couldn't even lift these stones, and Garcia was just doing it dolo and just chucking them at the French, right? He's just throwing them at them, which is so funny. Like I'm just imagining this guy being like, "Nah, I'm not leaving," and started picking up these giant pillars and just yeeting them at the French. It's so funny. And I think later on during that conflict, it was the Gargliano River, the Gargliano River. During like during that fight, they had like a little, not really like a rest, more of like a, you know what, we're not fighting right this second, so we're just like on the opposite side of this river. Um, Garcia was like, "Bro, we gotta attack now. We gotta go." And his captain was like, "You know what? I'm not feeling too well. I'm not good. Let's just wait it out. Wait for reinforcements." Garcia goes, "Nah." Picks up like a matanta, which is like a sword-handed, which is a giant two-hand sword. Placed himself in like a narrow bridge, like a small like little bridge, and then just started boxing. So he just started fighting, and he started like spouting, like basically yelling at the French, like, "Come at me, pussies!" Right? And then the French, obviously, they flocked to the bridge and started attacking him, but they couldn't get past him, and he just started like killing so many French people. He started killing so many soldiers, And it didn't like escalate until like they started bringing out artillery to like where they were. So the rest of the Spanish was like, we have to get Garcia out of there, and they like dragged him away from the fight. And uh, um, I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh. So after they drag him away, they this is a lot of this is like supposed, like how many people he killed, but supposedly they left behind 500 dead French soldiers, either killed by Garcia or drowned in the river attempting to escape him. What like what drives a man to do that? I don't know. And like there's like an excerpt from like a story, like an epic written about him, and I'm gonna read the excerpt also from Wiki. It says, with the two-handed longsword, he got himself among them, and fought like a brave lion. He started making such proof of his might that it was never surpassed by Hector and Julius Caesar, nor Alexander the Great and other ancient brave captains, looking truthfully like another Horatus in his effort and spirit. First off, pausing right there, a bunch of other like heroic spirits: Hector, Julius Caesar, Alexander, and I guess Herodotus isn't it like a servant yet, as far as I know, but you know, he probably is. And okay, continuing on. Still, Cor- Cordoba scolded Peradas for his insubordination and recklessness, and the fact that Garcia got out of the stunt almost unhurt was considered a miracle. So, killing 500 people, basically, or being the result of 500 people's death is a more better way to saying it. Um, the French gave him the name, which is another one of his names, Garcia Le Grand Diable, which, if you know anything of Spanish and or French, it just means Garcia the Great Devil, which is another badass name. So you know that's another title for him, and he just gets so much so much worse. So apparently, like after this little conflict in like 1504 around that time, um, there was like no war really, so he became a pirate and just started like pillaging everything. He attacked ships and ports of any nationality, including the Spanish, which got like he got a bounty on him, but like he didn't really care, and he just kept going. He mainly went against French and Muslim uh, um ships, but he still attacked a bunch of Spanish, which is like super funny. Like imagine you went into war with Garcia, right? And you were like, oh yeah, I know about that guy. He apparently like I think it's because he had like a conflict with the current ruler, so he got exiled and then he had to like become a pirate. Imagine you were like one of his former friends, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just I'm escorting. Yeah, I'm escorting the ship just to keep it safe. And then you just see Garcia on the other ship. He's like, "Oh my God, Garcia! Long time no see." And he's like, "Yeah, how you doing? Give me everything on the ship." What? Yeah, hand it over. I'm a pirate now. Give me that. And he just like it doesn't say how long he was a pirate for, but the fact that he was a pirate and the only reason he stopped being a pirate was because like the person who came in control basically said, "Yeah, you're okay. You can come back." And that was it, which is super funny. Like I could just imagine him having like interactions with like some of the pirate servants, like Mary Anning or like Drake or like Blackbeard, and it's like, oh, I was a pirate too. I probably kick your asses, but because I know, I know for a fact that this guy Garcia probably talks the most shit like ever because he just doesn't care. But going further on to more of like his achievements, um, in the Battle of Ravana, I think that's how you put it. Anytime I'm trying to say a place, I'm just gonna put it on the screen because I don't know how to speak. So, his brother actually died during that fight, and he was captured in an ambush by the French. Right, so he has some beef with the French. Um, he got shot 3 times with musket. He had 3 musket wounds. Um, but he escaped capture by jumping off of a bridge along with four knights who like were trying to like drag him down. He swam away while the rest of them drowned. So this guy who was captured, probably a little beat up, he had 3 bullet holes in him, proceeded to jump into a river with 4 fully armed knights, probably on him, and he swam away and they drowned, which is just super funny. This man just doesn't go down. He doesn't like give up. It's so good. Um, okay, so after he returned from that battle, um, like another Spanish captain basically came up to Garcia and was like, "I don't know why you're back, but you caused all my comrades to die. It's your fault. Let's fight." And Garcia is still pretty injured. He like can't really use one of his hands, so he starts dueling this guy, right? Like officially duel. And even with an injured arm, he he like cuts off the other guy's arm, the captain's arm, and the captain was like, "No, I don't care if I got my arm cut. I'm gonna keep fighting you." And he kept Garcia like took him down, and he was ready to cut his head off, but then the judges were like, "No, no, 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 you win, you're good, you're good." Like, and like this is like apparently a common thing that he does, where people just challenge him to fights. He just kills them outright and like takes their stuff. Okay, so so apparently this is another fight. This is like a 1513 wild year. In 1513, Garcia, he keeps doing like he keeps fighting. He's a mercenary whenever he's not in war. And he killed apparently 2 French knights. And apparently he killed 2 French knights. And the third brother came to him and was like, "All right, you killed my brothers. I'm getting revenge. We're dueling, right?" And Garcia said, "Okay, let's fight. Let's fight the way I want to." So he produced these 2 giant like iron maces, right, and put them on the ground. And they were like, "Okay, we're gonna kill each other with this, right?" And the Frenchman, he grabbed the mace to try to pick it up and use it, but he couldn't lift it. He couldn't pick up the mace. And Garcia proceeds to pick up his own mace and is ready to attack him. But the Frenchman, unable to use the mace, took out a sword and stabbed or like attacked Garcia in his hip. But he just used the mace and just bashed the guy's head in. So, you know, like the strength feats that this guy does is ridiculous because that okay, I'm gonna keep going. Later on, like a few days later, the Battle of La Mota. Uh, they like later, like a few days later, they won over the French, right? Um, then we have the 4 Years' War. In like later, like near the end of his life. Oh my god. Okay, so Garcia comes back home after like a little bit, and his home is Extremidad. That's why they call him the Samson of Extremidad. He returns to his home, and he's like, he's kind of famous, so he kind of like puts on like a poncho to like keep himself covered, so he wouldn't be recognized. And he was apparently harassed by. I'm using the words that they use on the wiki, okay? By a gang of pimps and prostitutes who suspected him to be a Jew, which is wild. Garcia proceeds to throw all of them into the inn's like furnace or like the hearth, and one of the women burned to death. The surviving mobs, like the village came out and they were like, "Oh my god, why did you do that?" But the moment he took off his poncho, they were like, "Oh, Garcia, yeah, that checks out," which is just incredibly funny. Uh, um, he was apparently drafted into the guard of Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire and the King of Spain. He fought in the 4 Years' War against the French again. Um, okay, so near like his end of service in like war, apparently he was like attacked by like a whole what is this? A whole squad, what an entire company of enemies while guarding the rear of an imperial entourage or whatever. Like basically he got jumped while he was running the end of like the army, and he got 4 more musket shots, which I think puts him up to 7. Um, and he was forced to barricade himself and like keep him and his like children safe. But while he was doing that, he killed 10 people again, trying to break in, and then he was rescued by like Imperial guards. Now, that was all the stuff that he did during his life. And as you can tell, and I'm sure some of you know, this guy is an absolute monster. Like, half the stuff that he does doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even understand. Oh, I forgot to mention this. A part of one of the plans to raid a city was for Garcia to snap the locks off of the gate so that they can get in. How strong do you have to be for the plan to be you using your strength to snap the locks off? That's ridiculous. But let's go on to his death, which is also just as interesting. Which is also why I also kind of wanted to be a servant. I know we're kind of going through like a weird history lesson almost, but this is still about him being a servant. So Garcia died in 1534, and the way he died, or like the cause of his death, was pretty funny. So, okay, so Garcia died apparently 15. I don't know if the wiki's wrong. I don't know if it says 15. He died 1533, but they said he was buried in 1545. I don't know. I'm going by the wiki, like I said, but whatever. So the way he died, or at least the cause of his death, was that he started playing a game with some younger officers, which is like it was basically stick hoop. Um, it wasn't stick hoop, but it was they had to kick a stick placed on a high wall. I like to just think it's stick hoop because I think that's funny. But they were messing around. He fell, and that fall basically caused him to die. It wasn't like he didn't fall and then die, but he fell, got hurt, and then that kind of led to his death. So he wrote in his little diary, like a brief summary of his life, that everything he did is kind of like funny because he just died in like the dumbest way possible. But he finally died. He was never really like he was never a general or like anything like that. He was always a soldier, right? And he he was just like this incredibly like strong and like amazing guy. And like I said, he fought in over 300 single duels, and he wrote like a little like an autobiography, like I assume near the end of his life when he knew like time was coming up. But he said at one point that all of his like things, all of his strength was nothing more than something anybody who's like mildly athletic could do, which I doubt, but you know. So yeah, that's him. That's Garcia. This is Diego Garcia's de Paradis, right? And as you can tell, this man is a certified absolute crash out who will fight and do anything as long as he feels like he can. And as you also know, that probably makes him amazing to be a berserker. More of like a berserker Musashi, less actual Samson and Hercules, because at no point is he ever like blinded by rage. He's just always ready and wanting to fight. So that's why I make a comparison like that. And he also has a conceptual weakness, which is very cool because obviously he's been shot 7 times. He lived all that, especially in this time where bullets were like a golf ball going through your chest. That's very impressive. The fact that he lived through all that. He's very resilient. He's very durable. The fact that he could fight for 3 days on end and only really lose because he got tired, that's amazing. The fact that he probably killed somebody with a metal pipe is also really funny. But the conceptual weakness is a conceptual weakness against games. I like to frame it as like children's games because that's pretty interesting. Because yes, it's not like an Achilles heel. It's not like a what else? It's not like Siegfried's like spot on his back, but it is a weakness. It's something to be exploited and something that his name will help you understand. Diego Garcia, if you know who that is, you kind of also know that he died playing a game, or at least that's like the common conception. So if you can get him into a game where he's conceptually at his weakest, you'll be able to take him out, which is very cool. And the fact that he has all this history around this time with the French, he didn't have anything with Columbus specifically, but he could have a conversation with Columbus. He can have a conversation with all the French servants that are there. he'll probably want to fight literally everybody that comes around him. He can have an interaction with um the the Mesoamerican servants. The fact that he never went over there, he wasn't a conquistador. He didn't care. I assume he could be like, hey, if I knew that there were people like you over there, I definitely would have come to fight you, right? Just you can make him an absolute crash out. So I kind of did. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna have the art finished by the time I want to publish this video, but I have like 3 ascension ideas for him. The first ascension is around the time when when he first came to Spain, or like the place where he was when he first came there. It's just him with a metal pipe. I just want to draw him with a metal pipe. The second ascension would probably be like him as a pirate, because I just think that's really funny. And then the third one is when he's like slightly older. But I have so many ideas of like how they could animate him where he's just so ready to fight. You know, like one of his animations have to be him throwing the boundary stone, because that's just a ridiculous thing to do. And the fact that he never really sticks to like a weapon. He uses lances, he uses swords. He's probably ridden a horse before. He's probably does knightly stuff. He doesn't really have a certified weapon. He doesn't have a well-known sword. The one of the most iconic things he did with a weapon was kill somebody with a mace that he couldn't lift, that the other guy couldn't lift. That's amazing. And I feel like we just need to find these people in history who have such interesting like lives. Like imagine you're living around this time in Diego Garcia's time, right? Because almost every one of his fights, the people on the other side don't come out alive. So you're just gonna have to hear this word of mouth that there's this guy on the other side, or this guy on your side, who can just wreak havoc just because he's strong. His little explanation on why he has this like extreme strength is like, hey, I'm just a well-bodied person. That's so funny. I can imagine like his arrogance. I can imagine like his ego almost. I can imagine him just like probably going up to like what's his name? Um one of the knights of Charlemagne, and being like, "Hey Frenchman, you want to have a scrap?" Roland, he'll probably love fighting Roland. He'd be like, "You're invincible? Let's test that theory," and just like go at him, bro. It's so funny. But yeah, I I really like this guy. This guy's really fun. There's a few other people I want to do these little things on, like how would they be as a servant? I guess if you would think about a kit, like obviously he's gonna be like a triple buster NP servant, right? He's got to be. And his noble phantasm, if anything, would probably be the bridge incident, where he's seated at the bridge and he's just hacking. It'd probably be an AoE too. It'd be an AoE buster where you just hack at a bunch of people. He'd probably have a defensive skill. He'd probably have like a guts almost. I don't think he'd have a guts. He'd probably have like a heal almost. He'd have a obviously a damage battery. He has to. He needs like a buster damage battery that does crit. He needs something to increase his defense, right? And then just like maybe like a heal. I don't know. I want him to be a 4-star berserker. He doesn't have to be a 5-star, but that's Diego Garcia, right? If you guys like this, tell me other interesting people from history that you might want to see as like fate servants. Somebody from your culture or your country, someone that probably hasn't been made into fate yet. I have somebody else from my own personal culture. If you don't know, I may be an Egyptian pharaoh, but I'm actually Puerto Rican. So, you know, I might make one on a certain Taino myth. But that's something for later. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, tell me who you want as a servant. I'll try to do some searching if I can make somebody and like think of like an idea for them. Give me your ideas on what you think his kit would be of Garcia or Diego Garcia. Tell me everything you guys want, because I really love this stuff. I love talking about fate. I love fate in general. And yeah, I'd like to bid you all a farewell.